What's going on, Ultra Buddies? We are talking about the Ultraman Card Game World Championships, Ultra League Championships, going down in almost a week from now.
Yeah.
In Japan, we will both be there competing. So we thought we'd be fun exercise to talk about a little tier list, what we think is likely to win, top 8, maybe top 8, and sorry, it's not going to happen. And we've been going over the Japan meta results. This is the most recent tier list they've done. Honestly, nothing has really changed. Decker kind of snuck in here, had a really good week. Basically, I think we'll just start with the decks in the Japan tier list, and then we'll add in some other decks that are on people's mind or that we think are kind of like sneaking in there. So let's start with.
I think before we start, I think a couple things, like a couple reminders. This will be a 2-deck format, so it has to be best of 2, and really there's going to be 140 plus competitors all playing 2 decks. I would probably go with some assumptions that these decks that we see in S tier, we'll probably see a lot of them or a lot of people playing them. But we've already talked a lot that the meta is so varied that if no one's playing Jeed and then everyone's playing Decker, like a lot of the things will end up changing, I think, quite dramatically, like who ends up winning. But I'm gonna personally go off with some assumptions that you want decks that will play well into many Jeeds or Gaia Ghouls that people will probably be bringing.
Yeah. I would expect. I agree with you. I would expect people to be playing these top 4 decks a little bit more. And I could bring it up a little bit. So the past month, actually, you can kind of check it out. That these top decks is Jeed, Gaia Ghoul, Tiga Blazar. Oh yeah, it's there. Belial Zeton. And these ones, and then everything else after that is like 5% or lower. So, if we kind of consider these top 4 to be like most of the meta, then we added up, it's like 40%. So almost half of the decks being played are in these top 4. So I think, like, at the very least, you're going to expect to see one player probably, like, each player will probably bring at least one of these decks, if not 2. So let's talk about Jeed.
Yeah, so Jeed, solid deck. Surprisingly, I don't think a lot has changed from the BP6 meta, but I think even when I think about my Jeed, a lot of it has just been fine-tuning the cards or anti-tech or tech cards just based on what everyone else is playing. One thing I noticed, like looking at the top 4 meta here, Jeed, Gaia Ghoul, Tiga Blazer, Belial Zeton, promo Zetons are only really good against one of the 4.
True.
So we're not going to see as many promo Zetons, unless you're counting just all of the Zetons in Belial Zeton.
Right.
So I think this has only helped Jeed.
Right.
So I think Jeed has a really strong chance of winning as long as it just avoids those like bad matchups, which I think in this set is the worst one would be Belial Zetons. It's got a really good shot.
Yeah, and that's if, like, talking about Zeton is like, this is not the meta where everyone and their brother is slapping in promo Zeton into their deck to counter Jeed and Decker and Blazar Garon and Omega and things like that, right? Like, you can't just throw in the Zeton and be okay, because the Gaia Ghoul doesn't care, Tiga Blazar doesn't care, Trigger Dark doesn't care. Like Max said, this is this is one for debate so far, but it doesn't care. So you can't just throw them in. So you'll see promo Zetons, but I think it's mostly going to be in the Belial decks.
Yeah.
Which makes it a lot less scary, because in 2-deck format, you're basically guaranteed not to play it twice, right? So yeah, it definitely gives Jeed a big bump up. I'm thinking it's definitely a favorite to win. Maybe not the favorite, but I don't know yet. But definitely very, very likely to win. I don't. And even with that, like, sorry, my brain's going multiple ways. But one of the things I've noticed is looking at the G decks is that because it's true that there's not as much promo Zetons going around, a lot of people have have actually opted to take out a secondary Ultra, and I did a little quick maths. It's about like 60% of people have dropped playing a secondary Ultra in G'd. So like there's some people still doing it because they don't want to like the extra risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people have dropped the secondary Ultra because it's only really going to come up for Spellios that time. So which makes it more consistent.
So here's the question: if everyone's playing G'ds,
yeah,
do you add promo Zetons into your own G decks?
It's a toughie. That's a toughie. Yeah, I don't know.
It's it might come up, might not.
You play like one, it might come up. You might it might reveal it off of Wrecking Burst, and you'd be punished for that. Mm-hmm. You never know. But I will say, even though like Belial Zeton like is one of the decks still threatening G, the players taking out the anti-promo Zeton tech are putting in the anti-kaiju stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
So you're losing the anti-Zetons, but that deck is all kaijus, and so you're going to get more bang for your buck. So anyway, that's G'd. Let's move on to Gaia Agul. I think you've played a lot more Gaia Agul than I have, so I'd love to hear your take on this first.
My take is that I think a couple assumptions I want to like throw out there. Gaia Agul is a lot harder deck to play. It's mm-hmm. one that if you're new to the deck, you can make mistakes and like self-destruct, basically throw your own games by bouncing the wrong cards or executing things in the wrong order. Now, that being said, though, I expect a lot less of that at Worlds compared to Galaxy Cups, because anyone who's bringing at this stage a level of play, Gaia Agul, I would hope, has done their homework, has gotten very comfortable with the cards, and I mean, mistakes can happen. It's going to be a long day, but not making those like silly mistakes where you just bounce something wrong order and you just lose. So, with that being said, I think Gaia Agul is very strong when you have the right cards and you have the best matchups. There's a lot of matchups that as long as your Triple R Gaia Supreme, you shut down a lot of decks, and as long as your hand is reasonably consistent, you'll be really in good shape. My biggest worry, though, is a lot of times, so you also feel like you're one card off, and there's some decks that can really punish that. So decks that can go for very early turn 3, turn 4 kills could punish Gaia Agul. That's where it's tricky to say. I would expect it to definitely be in the top 8, but of the 4 decks I see here, it's going to be amazing when it takes off and you're going to get to top 8. But it's only like a little bit of a bad streak away from just hitting some bad matchups in the top 8 final cut.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like we're kind of on the same page here. I worry about like the consistency aspect of Gaia Agul. Like I don't expect the mistake aspect to come up that much, but I do expect the consistency aspect to come up. And I know it's like a little bit better than it was before, but I'm pretty. I feel like this is definitely you're going to see it in top 8. I'm not so sure it's going to win, because you kind of already see, like, even though Gaia Agul is like the most represented deck on the meta, the charts is not like great. Like over half of them like die off before they get to a Galaxy Cup win from top 4, right? And if one makes it to top 8, they have to get even another level, another way through for that, right? And you can argue that if by playing it in 2-deck format, you get more chances with Gaia Agul.
Yeah.
But you also get 2 chances to break and have no way to play the game. And I think that's like probably the scariest part playing Gaia Agul, even in 2-deck, because to nerd out a little bit, if we're talking about like 140 competitors, assuming everyone shows up, we're going to have 8 rounds of Swiss. If you do the math, you have to, you can't lose more than once. If you lose more than once, it's very unlikely that you will make the top 8.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose to bad matchups. You're gonna lose you're gonna lose to bad matchups, and Gaiago is also gonna lose to itself. And I feel like you just have like a double brick round, and then you can't lose anymore after that. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like the luck aspect of things, and like how consistent you actually need a deck to be to get to top 8 and then get the win. Obviously, Gaiago is insanely strong, but that consistency factor for me at least is a little lacking.
And I would want, like, even though we say this, I want to still keep in the top 8 because there's going to be plenty of people playing it. So the odds that one Gaiago player makes it all the way through is one thing, but the odds that of many Gaiago players going through and many of them making top 8, like, it's definitely got a fair shot.
Yeah. I think like I would be way less surprised if like 4 out of the top 8 have Jeet on their list, their 2 decks. I would be much more surprised if like 4 out of the top 8 have Gaiago.
Exactly.
I mean, it could just be a good day for all of them. You never know, right? Okay, so Tiga Blazer. Trying to find Tiga. So you're the resident Tiga man, right?
I feel like I've been doing a lot of these 3 decks.
Yeah. These are your decks.
I think Tiga. If I'm saying like Tiga, some variant of Tiga, I feel like I would expect to see in the winners.
Yeah.
But Tiga Blazar specifically, I kind of want to put in the top 8. Just because I know there's some Tiga deck out there that someone's cooking up that will like have an edge. Because I think Tiga Blazar is like a good starting point for any like Tiga deck. It's a really strong baseline. Like the more we look at this meta matchup, Blazar versus like Z, Blazar provides like Scarred, which is great BP grade ups, but the Blazar triple R is a little bit left to be lacking. Like a BP down doesn't really do much against G. G can just like pop it back up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas things like maybe the Z or maybe the Nexus, things that like get you above 18k, G is not usually breaking those numbers. And Blazar doesn't quite help you break 18k, but it just gets you more triples on the field.
Yeah.
So that's like my thoughts. Tiga Blazar, probably top 8. I'm expecting someone to create something special for.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. One of the things that I'm a little bit. Let me try this setup. Yeah, it doesn't look as nice. Okay. You breaking that up is I distinctly remember in, I want to say BPO 5 format, where everyone, all the new like which level 4s came out and stuff. And things were getting popular, and Tiga Blazar was like showing up, but then towards the end it was like all Tiga Z. And I'm wondering if there's a Tiga Z angle here too, where Tiga Blazar, very strong deck, very popular. You might expect to see it. You could bring out the Tiga Z, which seems to have a better mirror match or something, because it started taking over a little bit. And that could give you that little edge you need to make it from the top 8 to a likely to win.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll see likely to win is the Tiga player who finds the pair that gives them that edge over, let's say, maybe Jeeds or
right
Kaiju decks.
That totally makes sense. Wow, make me want to try the Tiga Z. I just really like that deck. Okay. Belial Zaton.
All right, you are the Belial king here. I'm playing it.
I'm gonna represent this with the Zeton, and I have no hope for this deck. I think.
Okay, hot take.
I think this is. I almost want to put not gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie. This is like huge Omega hot take alert. And I don't know. I just did a little deck profile, so look forward to that, or go watch it if you haven't. It's a very short one. The problem with Velio Zeton. Okay, let's start with the good things. The good thing about Velio Zeton is like Zeton's like so stupid. Like you just dunk on Jeed, you dunk on Decker, you dunk on Blazer Garon. I know Omega's hiding around somewhere here. Promo Zeton gets rid of all those. BPO, whatever. BP3 Zeton versus BP ups. Oh, see a Trigger Dark, see a Decker, probably see a Max. Like, there's so many ways for this deck to like hard counter. Like even the same type one is pretty sneaky because if your opponent forgets it exists, they can kind of get put themselves in a bad spot. Like against like Tiga, we've played a few matches where like you try to swap, like you don't put in, you don't vary your types, and then I put a anti-seam type in the lead lane, and that's 20. You can't move it in because everything else is like 14k. You'll die, which prevents you from taking the lead and playing the scene with Tiga. So it can get pretty like nasty, but I feel like the deck is just like it's way too much. Like I gotta draw all the right cards for the right matchup, and sometimes you even get into a spot where maybe you're playing against Jeed and you have 2 promo Zetons and you should be winning. How do you lose that game, right? But it still comes down to is Zeton triple rare, doing the mill and getting another 20k. And if you miss it, you die. And if you get it, you win. And let me tell you, the spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the tech profile yet, the math is not in your favor. I think a lot of times you're not building a triple with this. Even if you build a triple, it's basically a coin flip to get the 20k. If you have other Zetons and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, I'll actually get some power. But you need the 20k sometimes, and the 20k math is not in your favor. It's worse than a coin flip. So you don't really want to be there. So I think, yeah, it's a maybe, I guess, but I really want to put it not going to happen.
I think I'm good with. I'd back up maybe just as.
You know what? We're gonna make hot takes here. This deck is not gonna make top 8. It's not a good deck. I think there might be a version of Belial that is different, but this one that's based on flipping coins with Zeton, it's the same. It's like Gaia Ghoul, but worse. I think like the consistency issues. Like you can have a really consistent game and then still lose to random like RNG. It's not. I don't know.
I mean, like we said, you can really only afford to lose twice, which means if you lose that coin flip
you can
more than 3 times. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Once you've lost twice, you're out. So yeah, if you lose your coin flip like 3-4 times in a row, you're done.
Yeah. It's a very scary time to be putting your cards all on black or whatever. Okay, Trigger Dark. I guess I live in the low tiers. This is kind of a deck I've been playing and excited about. I think this deck is measuring the experiment changes the experiment. I think this deck is crazy. I'm a little biased, and I think for sure it's top 8, maybe likely to win. That's my hot take. I think this deck, once you get to that turn 5, it's super hard to lose. It's just so strong. Everything's triples on the field. Even if like somehow that doesn't kill, it's like then you're in the Decker scenario where everything you draw is just better than your opponent's. And I think if you play it right, it is not that hard to get to that turn 5. You can definitely weasel your way around what your opponent's doing, especially if they have like a weaker hand. And the deck definitely, it struggles into some like aggro matchups. Like if you can't get your setup going and then they're going to punish you for that. Yeah, it happens, right? But I don't know. This deck feels so good when it gets going, and I think it's a lot better than B personally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've been playing a bunch of these matchups and testing, and like, I can definitely see it winning. Like, it's pretty reliable, and unless like everyone is playing just its worst matchups, going in this varied meta, I think it's a pretty good spot, like being able to be versatile and decent into everything.
Yeah.
That, yeah, I definitely expect to see in top 8. I think, yeah, if the stars align, like, it's very
Yeah,
likely.
I'm maybe a little hesitant to say it's likely to win because there are matchups like the Belial where once you do get online and they draw Zetons, you're done for. And like if you have like a weird setup with versus Gaia Ghoul, they can bounce your stuff and you can't get your levels and then you die. So like that kind of stuff is pretty tricky. So I feel like it's easy to run into a bad matchup in top 8, but I'm like, I think I've already had my hot take for this one, so I won't put Trigger is likely to win. But I think it's a lot stronger than people might expect. Decker, any thoughts on Decker?
So I'll defer to like some of the details for you, but I think Decker as a whole like is a good deck for like making a comeback. It has the same benefits of Jeed in that there aren't going to be as many Zeton hard counters floating around. So then you have a little bit more versatility in like how you play it, not having to worry about people just throwing down Zetons turn 3. I think if it comes into the winning strategy of like your triples are bigger than their triples, a lot of the decks we see here are like beefy triples, but being able to give your plus so many K, going to be very handy. And I think the biggest weaknesses I see are those kaiju decks, but as long as we haven't really been seeing too many other than Zeton here, not a lot of people are playing kaijus. That might be a good opportunity for Decker to shine.
Yeah. I think I'm going to put a maybe top 8. That's kind of where I'm feeling. Again, my hot take button's a little. I would put this and not going to happen, to be honest. But I do think that for whatever reason, this deck is very popular, and I think enough people will try to play it that it might crack the top 8. But I think it's got too many bad matchups, and once you start playing it out, it starts to feel really bad. Like, I don't know. On my little Decker soapbox, I think Decker is very good against Jeed because of those like real strong triples that it can make. But Gaia Ghoul just rips this deck to pieces. You can't get the setup. It's almost an auto loss. Like unless the Gaia player just bricks really bad, you're having a really tough time. And then like TK Blazer's probably fine. Belial Zeton, you have the same kind of issue. Like Kaiju decks are kind of good into Decker because they have stronger stuff later. I think that in the past you could just go for the 3 strong triples and just blow them out of the water, but now Zeton gets to coin flip you out of the game, which is kind of a problem. So like even like one of your like used to be really good matchups is now a coin flip, and then Trigger Dark just does what you do but better. So I feel like you're not really in a good position, but I think enough people will play it. So it gets a popularity boost, basically.
Yeah. I think it's also like the one area I do agree on the bad matchups, but if a lot of people are playing Jeeds and you have a Decker Decade and they have a Jeed Decade, you might be able to just like get just those right stars to like get as many wins as you can.
That's the tough part, is because like if the stars align, like pretty much anything can do it. And it's just like such a jungle meta, like we've said. Like even though maybe like around like 50% is like these top 4 decks, like basically everything, almost any deck you could imagine is winning Galaxy Cups in Japan right now.
Yeah.
So like any deck with a good day can just come out swinging.
Yeah.
Let's go Blazer Garon right now because I know we are lacking a little bit on the experience side for the Maxi. Any thoughts on Blazer Garon? I don't think either of us are like super on top of this deck.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I've still played against a couple of these in some recent events, and it's always a deck that like when that deck hits its charge and hits its stride, it is really hard to come back. Like being able to pull out turn 4 like BP grade ups and -2000s is a recipe for winning a lot of games. And being able to pull that type of like power, I think will like destroy Gaia Ghouls or Trigger Darks who have like weaker turn 4 setups based on like the opponent. Now, of course, it also requires a lot of good high rolls and charges. So kind of like that Gaia Ghoul problem we mentioned, it has that consistency issue, or if you're just not getting charges early on, it's going to be a rough time. But when you do, it's really tough to keep up with that power.
Yeah, I feel like Blazar is this weird thing where like it has some really pretty bad inconsistent hands that are just like you can't play the game. But I think those don't happen enough that it's a fairly consistent deck for 2-deck format. And it kind of lost its biggest predator, which is Promo Zeton just running around in every deck. So I don't know. I honestly feel pretty good about Blazar Garon. Where are you feeling? Where are you feeling?
I think I would see one in the top 8. It's it still has like it is more consistent than Gaia Ghoul, but depending on the matchups, if people in that top 8 meta, like the champions meta, are playing Jeeds, all it takes is just missing one of your like setup cards for a G to BP grade up, it wins. I think that similar for Tiga Blazars, where if you just don't have that last card, then Tiga can swap its lanes and play on top of it. But at the same time, if you get your stride, you're good. And then we're not probably going to see a lot of Belials in the top 4, but hey, if you run into enough of them on the way there,
you could just run into one randomly on the way there and just be sad, right?
But I would expect to see someone carry it with them into a top 8.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna provide some counterpoints to put it into maybe top 8, and we'll see how you feel about that. The first one is that it's kind of handshaky. It's like I noticed in the snooping decks on the app, I noticed the popularity is picking up a little bit for Blazar Garon, but I don't know how much it's going to pick up, or like how much it's the players going to Worlds are thinking about Blazar Garon. Like I think it's definitely contender. And the second point I'm going to bring is that Gaia Ghoul is actually pretty awful for this deck because they need the Blazar triples, and you just get rid of them.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's kind of my take. I'm feeling a maybe top 8 for me, but if you feel pretty good about it, I'm happy to put top 8.
I would say maybe top 8 in that it really depends on if you hit a bad Gaia Ghoul or bad Zeton matchup, you only need 2 of those on like those Swiss rounds. But I think if it can get to the top 8 cut without like hitting too many Zetons, and it has a good deck A, deck B format, I think we might see some pretty good showings from this. But
this is a deck that like could win, but I think I don't know. My gut feeling is like
win.
Any of these decks would win. I think my gut feeling with Blazar and why it's a maybe is that if we get the top 8, and someone has Blazar Garon, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. A Blazar Garon made it. Like, I think with these decks, I'd be like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's a good way to leave it.
Okay, let's check out the last deck on our list here, which is Max Z. Have you tried it at all? I have not had the chance to play it or play against it, so I'm a little in the dark here.
So, I mean, I tried Max Z in set 6. I think that the changes of cards in set 7 do a lot for what you can kind of do with Z, but I don't think I found like the formula I'm happy with it, but it's still a deck I'd want to test. So I would put it in the maybe category. Like I would same reaction. Like if someone can get this in top 8, I'd be like, whoa, wow, that's kind of cool. I don't think it's like a terrible deck, but I haven't seen like the consistency from it from my testing that this is like really solid in anything. Just because like a lot of the decks I've seen want to use more maxes. But then it makes it very tricky to build on top of the rest of like your Z's, because you want like There's some really good 18k Z triples, and you want a lot of cards for discard. But then if you're playing max doubles, you're not drawing enough. So you end up, I feel like, relying too much on the Proof of Braveness scene to like really tie in a lot of things together. And with like decks like Trigger Dark, Tiga, Belials, it's going to be a little tricky to take lead reliably unless you just have a really good start with max double and starting hand.
Yeah, you can't count that 19k. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a maybe. I'm a little nervous. I mean, like this, our ranking matters that much for these, but it's not gonna like, oh, like, you got it wrong. But, sorry. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay putting it a maybe. I think there's definitely something there. I do kind of worry that it has maybe maybe reliance on proof, but also like, I feel like the cool parts about this deck is that you get to use the new max double rare to BP boost 11Ks and Delta Rise Claws at 11Ks. You get that's an 18K, and then and they get to proof of braveness. Yeah, and I get to do it again. But I think like if if it's not that turn, then now you've got like 2 11Ks on the field, and even if you have proof, you can only get one of them up. But I think it probably has some really explosive hands where you get to hit Proof of Braveness, hit a bunch of like BP ups, and then swap into the Z scene, and then even on turn 3, and then get some crazy action.
You could even Proof of Braveness, or sorry, you can do the BP grade up twice in the same turn if you set it up right. You play the 17k, bump up, Proof of Braveness, play it again, bump itself up. Now you have like a 17 and an 18k on the field,
maybe a 19 in lane 1,
and a 19. So I think
it could be crazy.
I mean, so it wouldn't. So it's not a bad deck by far. I just haven't seen it enough to like expect a lot of them running around.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because I was checking the numbers both this week and last week. 5 people made top 8 with the Max Z, and both times 2 of them won the Galaxy Cup from that, which is like pretty good, pretty good showing. But there's just so little of them, we just don't really know, and I don't think either of us have like super played the deck. I was planning to play against it, but my training plans got disrupted this week. All right, anything else that any other decks, I mean, that aren't on here that maybe on your mind that you'd like to talk about?
I think besides this is like the honorable mentions that like we've really covered like the meta decks people are playing. But there's things like Tiga Dyna that did very well in like the last Cup qualifier last time. I think there's still some Nexus variants, like a Tiga Nexus could make its way if they play it right. So I just want to throw out some like honorable mentions. Like I expect a Tiga somewhere in the top deck. At least the finals, like the top 2, I would expect Tiga to be somewhere there. And now it could be, Blazar is like the core meta choice, but could be a Dyna. I would not be surprised if someone can make a Nexus fit there and do something interesting. I want to see a Ginga somewhere, but I don't think it'd be like a likely to win. But I would be happy to see a Ginga in like maybe top 8. Other key decks like Mephiles, I want to say it's not going to happen. But you're going to see them in Swiss, and
you're going to be prepared, right? I'm so sad. You guys don't know how badly I wanted this deck to work. It's just for me, I couldn't get the consistency there to where I wanted, because it was just so reliant on this guy. I wanted it so bad.
Yeah, so I think besides those, like Omega, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like some of the new decks I think will give Omega a harder time. Like we haven't really played match videos and things with these, but I think like Trigger Dark can really mess with Omega with just like building really beefy 18k triples everywhere when you get to turn 5, and
okay, I got one more. I wanted to put Omega on there. I got one more spicy one for you. The Orb.
Oh, the Orb. I
don't know why this has been all over the place in Galaxy Cups. I feel like you just keep seeing it. Maybe I'm like going crazy, but it feels like way more represented than I thought it would be or maybe should be.
I would kind of want to put in the maybe category. I feel like
I'm down to put in maybe.
It's an aggressive deck that I think can actually give a lot of those top decks a hard time. Like, if you can predict and line up well into the Gaia Ghoul, like if they don't hit their Gaia Supreme Triple R to bounce, you have so many BP grade ups and boosts that you can probably put them in a really bad spot. Same thing for Trigger Dark. If you can play aggressive and prevent them from playing, was it the Million Years, and then the turn 4, they're going to be in a dicey situation if you get like your BP grade ups and like plus 2000s and things out there. I think it could be a really solid deck into some of these matchups. I don't know. You've played a good amount of Orb. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's been a while. I do really like that deck. I would love to give it a spin to see what Japan's been cooking, basically. But I kind of agree with you. It's a very aggressive deck, and with the right hands, it can just, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And given that some of the decks we see are a bit more like, it feels a little bit like we have a kind of a setup meta, if that makes sense. Because it's really hard to kill quickly, I feel, unless your opponent kind of missteps. But Orb is a deck that can kill quickly, even if you don't misstep. And that's definitely going to give some decks some trouble, especially if they're only making like one strong lane to try to fight it.
Yeah.
Because like even you can do some crazy setups where like versus like TGUF or something, like, oh, they think the 18k is safe, but you can set it up where there's like a 19k in every lane or something like that. There's nowhere to go.
Oh yeah. No, that those will be the ones that like if you play Orb well and you have just really good matchups and good hands, like I kind of want to see a couple Orbs in the top 8, or an Orb, I guess. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good list here.
Yeah,
I think there's just so many. I mean, it says a lot that compared to, I think, the previous meta tier list we did for like BP5, we don't have like a very solid, like, oh, these decks, we are very confident we'll see them across like Rise Cup and qualifiers. Like,
I think if you asked us for like last meta or something, like likely to win would like be Jeet and Decker, and then like top 8 would be like Tiga Blazar and like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really know what else. Like everything else was kind of getting crushed by, I feel like, those 3 decks.
Yeah,
like Omega was in there, but it was definitely not like, oh man, all these decks could do something. A lot of them just got pushed out by. I guess Blazar Garen was good, but like everyone was playing Promo Zeton, so it was kind of like weird. I feel good about this. I think Jeed will probably take it all the way home. It's just such a good deck. So we'll see if we're right about that. We'll see how our top 8 predictions kind of go. And someone surprised me with the Belial Zeton.
Yeah.
Or the Mephiles. I'll hail whoever makes Mephiles. If they win the whole thing, props to them. But I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it to work. All right. That's all for us. I think we have one more meta results from Japan that we'll take a look at before Worlds happens. But I don't expect much to change from that one. Maybe things will solidify a little bit more in terms of like there's less crazy stuff happening. But I've been checking. The craziness is maybe getting worse. And we'll. Maybe I don't think they're gonna have a stream or anything, but hopefully we'll come back and we'll make a How I Won Worlds video. We'll see you around. Bye.
Yeah. See.